From Vermont Public, this is The Frequency. I'm Mitch Wertlieb. It's Tuesday, October 28th, and here are today's headlines. Governor Phil Scott wants Vermont to join with other states to sue the Trump administration as part of an effort to restore federal food benefits. Those benefits are set to run out November 1st due to the federal government shutdown, and Trump administration officials have declined calls to use emergency funds to pay for them. Scott said in a statement yesterday that he's asked his administration to work with Vermont Attorney General Charity Clark to, quote, support a multi-state lawsuit. It would try to compel the federal government to keep paying for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP. Roughly 63,000 low-income Vermonters depend on the food benefits, and they cost about $12 million per month. Governor Scott is preparing to present contingency plans for continuing food assistance to a key state panel tomorrow. The Vermont Secretary of State's office will launch a task force next week to increase voter turnout for the 2026 elections. Efforts will focus on 4 communities: people with disabilities, unhoused people, domestic violence survivors, and people in prison. Secretary of State Sarah Copeland-Hansis announced the initiative yesterday on Vermont Edition.
Folks who have experienced poverty or housing instability should have the ability to tell their elected leaders what they thought. And, voting is just one way to do that.
Copeland-Hansis says she hopes the task force's work will lead to increased turnout in the statewide primary and general election next year. The Vermont Department of Motor Vehicles says upgrades to its computer system should greatly improve customer service. The department has been working on the effort for years now, but the final phase will require some service disruptions. All DMV offices will offer limited services on November 5th and 6th. They will then close to the public from the 7th right through the Veterans Day holiday. Online driver's license renewals became unavailable starting yesterday, and that will last until regular DMV services return on November 12th. Matthew Russo is Deputy DMV Commissioner.
If you are needing to renew during that time period that we're closed, I would suggest coming into an office or getting it done online sooner rather than later.
Russo says customers can expect faster and easier transactions and more online service options after the upgrades are complete. And it's International Bat Week, when the only mammal that feeds on insects at night gets its moment in the sun. The 1,500th bat species was recently identified. Just 9 species live in Vermont. Alyssa Bennett is a small mammal biologist with Vermont Fish and Wildlife. She says bats are also the only flying mammal, and they actually fly on their fingers.
So their hands have these very, very long fingers, like if yours were to reach from you standing up with your arms stretched out, your fingers reached all the way to the ground. That would be the length of a bat's fingers.
Bennett says some bats in Vermont, like the northern long-eared bat, are struggling. That's after the fungal disease white nose syndrome wiped out millions of bats. But she says other species are doing well. Coming up, the Vermont Yankee nuclear power plant is still in the decommissioning process since it shut down in 2014. Now a company from Texas wants to repurpose the site for large-scale energy battery storage. We'll hear more about the project and some safety concerns that come with it after this. A Texas-based energy company has been looking at the site in Vernon that used to be the home to the Vermont Yankee nuclear power plant. The company wants to build a large-scale energy battery storage system, which would use the electric infrastructure that's in place in Vernon. Vermont Public's Howard Weiss-Tisman brought host Mary Engish up to date on the situation.
Howard, can we begin with what we already know about this particular company and what kind of plans they have for this Vermont Yankee site in Vernon?
Yeah, sure. So the company is named Power Transitions. They're out of Texas, as you said, and what they do is they go to large scale electric generating sites around the country that are closed down, old coal plants, old nuclear plants, and they redevelop them. They bring in new technology, sometimes sustainable energy systems or solar fields, et cetera. And they have a plan to build what's called a battery energy storage system. We've heard a little bit about battery storage around Vermont. GMP has some smaller storage systems in Panton and et cetera around the state. They're about 2 or 5 megawatts. But this company has plans to build a really large 20 megawatt or larger facility in Vernon. And the idea of these facilities is that they can collect electricity that's produced ideally through sustainable methods, through solar or something like that. They store the energy, and then when energy prices go up, they can release it into the system to support the grid and sell power kind of at a reduced cost. So this company has a lease agreement, Power Transitions, with the owner of Vernon, so they seem pretty serious about it.
Remind us about the former Vermont Yankee site. What's been going on there since the plant closed? It's been like 11 years.
Yeah, that's right. VY closed in 2014, and the energy company that owned the plant at the time, they said it was going to take about 50 years to decommission it, to tear down the nuclear reactor and get rid of the waste. But then this industrial demolition company called North Star came in. They looked at the project and they said they could do it a lot quicker. And they've been working since 2019 to tear down the plant. And they've really done a really great job. They have a great relationship with Vernon. They're carting off the low-level radioactive waste to a site in Texas. But the high-level radioactive waste is going to stay in Vernon. The federal government has no other place for it. So there's like 50-plus casks there storing the radioactive waste. But North Star expects to complete their project by sometime next year, the next year or two.
I think when people hear nuclear power plant, they think, oh, safety concerns. What do we know about these large battery systems that they're planning to store there?
Yeah, so there is some controversy about that. There was a big fire out in California at one of these facilities. These batteries, at least the technology they're using now, they're lithium batteries. They get very hot and they can catch on fire. And when one of these facilities catch fire, it's very hard to put them out. So the idea of putting a battery storage system on a site that has high-level radioactive waste certainly could get some concerns up. But it's going to be a long. There are a lot of regulations in place. The state's going to have to approve it. So that's what we know right now. We don't have any real details about this project. We just kind of have a general outline. So that's kind of what it's about right now.
Howard, in your reporting, do you think this battery storage system will really be the project that ultimately is developed in Vernon?
Yeah, it's hard to know. So this project, decommissioning Vermont Yankee is winding down. There's very, very valuable electric infrastructure there. There's high-powered wires. It's about 140 acres along the Connecticut River. So there's probably going to be a lot of interest in it. As North Star winds down its work over the next year or so, we're probably going to be hearing about other companies coming in interested in it. Once the site is decommissioned and ready for development, any project is going to go through state regulatory processes. So I'm sure it will be 3, 4, 5 years before any projects go. But a lot of eyes are on it. The people in Vernon are very interested in it. The state is very interested in it. And I think we're going to be hearing kind of a lot about the Vermont Yankee land over the next year or two.
And that was Vermont Public's Howard Weiss-Tisman speaking with host Mary Engish about the potential plans for the site of the old Vermont Yankee nuclear power plant. Thanks for listening to The Frequency today. We had additional reporting from Alicia Fries, Michaela Lafrac, Nathaniel Wilson, and Mary Engish. Today's episode was edited by Stephanie Colombini, and our music is by Blue Dot Sessions. I'm Mitch Wertley. Talk to you tomorrow.